Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she is running again for re-election in 2024. The 83-year-old stepped back from leading the House Democratic caucus after her party lost the majority in the 2022 midterms. Now, Pelosi has served as a representative for San Francisco since 1988 and was the first elected female Speaker of the House in 2007. For more, let's bring in Jonathan Martin. He's Politico's senior political columnist and politics bureau chief. All right, you recently spent the day with Pelosi in her San Francisco congressional district. What stood out to you most, and what did you make of her announcement to seek re-election?
Well, what stood out to me the most was just how much she was wrestling with this. And I think in that moment, using me as a sounding board to try to come to terms with her decision. And I think, frankly, to justify running again. I mean, the most striking thing was what I led with in the piece, which you can find still on Politico, and that is San Francisco has had this succession of people retiring or about to retire. Barbara Boxer, obviously, one senator, Dianne Feinstein, who's not in good shape now and has already announced her retirement in 24. And I think Pelosi, in this moment for San Francisco, when the city is struggling post-pandemic, I think had real trepidation about the city's prospects in Washington, losing both longtime senators. And then, obviously, if she was to retire next year, I think that was a key factor in her choice.
I mean, I guess I can understand the concern with the power vacuum there, but at 83, the former speaker is
Right.
older than both Mitch McConnell and President Biden. So how does her decision impact the conversation that's being had right now about the age of American leadership?
Well, I think that's an important factor, and especially with Republicans using this as a real centerpiece of their argument against President Biden going into next year. That she clearly is one more person who is serving well into her age. Now that said, I think Pelosi, if you spend time with her like I did, you can tell that she's not in the place where Biden and McConnell are. She's 2 years older than them, but you can't tell it from spending a day with her as I did. But here's the other factor that I think is really important too in her choice. That's Donald Trump, the person that she's standing over right there in that picture you're showing. Well done, producers. Look, she clearly wants to see the 2024 election through. I spoke to her Friday afternoon, and she said to me, it's easier to raise money when you're a candidate, when you're on the ballot, which is her way of saying that, she wants to see this campaign through. She wants to get Democrats back into the House majority, and she clearly wants to block Trump's path back to power. She wants to be there in 2025 after Trump has been defeated for a second time.
But do you think she's helping or hurting that goal? I mean, she did take a step back. How active has she been in the
Right.
Democratic Party in the months since she did
Right.
that? And what is your take on whether or not she's going to be able to carry out this goal that she says is the reason for her throwing her hat in the ring again?
Right. Well, I think she's going to be effective as a fundraiser in trying to raise money for House Democrats and for President Biden. But there's no question that the Republicans will group her with President Biden and say Democrats are, a collection of these, older post 80-year-old leaders, and it's time for a new generation. Now, it's somewhat harder to make that case when they obviously have an 80-plus-year-old Senate leader and also have a nominee, if Trump is the nominee, who would be 80 were he to win the election, too. So uh, this gerontocracy does not seem to be going anywhere. It seems to be alive and well.
All right, Jonathan Martin, thank you so much.
Thanks a bunch.